Prin is a very pretty girl. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're here. We're doing this. We're webcasting. And okay, I'll tell you, even though Melissa may still send me a text message later, I'm doing this from my own memory, not because I was reminded by external entities. I remembered. Let the record state. Write it down, Jan. You're the stenographer. You're the pride stenographer. Volvo. Volvo. Hello. Hello. Oh, stink face. Oh, stink face. Oh, stink face. There's like a lot of there's birds and snuffles happening. Birds and snuffles. And stinks. Birds and snuffles and stink faces. Oh my. Been watching that, you pop on Netflix and then like, oh, recommended kind of thing. I had that cartoon show, Inside Job, recommended to me. And I kept on seeing it. And I'm like, fine. It's like after I get done with all my other stuff, I'm like, all right. And I started watching it, and I actually started to really enjoy it. I'm like, oh, this is like really well made. And I started looking it up, and then finding like, oh, then like Netflix canceled it. Hi. Before like it could have a second season. I guess the numbers just weren't good enough. Retention and algorithms and stuff. Which is crummy, because a lot of times it's like, you're not like giving the show like you're like, shows need sometimes to be given like time to just find their sea legs. Look at those guys. Look at those guys. Just snuffling at each other. That's sweet. And no, that does not mean that they're cool to be able to get put back together. It just means that this with the fence is exactly where it's working as intended. But yeah, of course, there's like so many different. It's a inside job. It's a one of them cartoons and adult animation. There's language and drug references and mature themes and mature humor and stuff like that. Which there's sometimes the market could be kind of oversaturated for that stuff. And a lot of times it's like, okay, just because there's adult references doesn't necessarily, like, you still have to be a good show. It still has to be written well. And then a lot of times you'll watch like a new one of those, and then it's not that good. But this one was good. And then it just, it sucks because there's also like a very robust, kind of like online fan community and they're just like, oh my god, because they had it like in 2 parts where it's like, oh, they put it out in 1 part, and I guess it was pretty popular, and then like, so the first season was broken up into 2 parts, like 18 episodes, and then the second part just came out like either early this year or late last year, and for some reason it just didn't hit. They didn't get the sweet spot as far as the numbers are concerned, and Netflix, they axed it. So they already had like the second season was in the works. They were working on it, and then Netflix canceled it, which of course then like the showrunners and the creators were just devastated. I went through and read the show's creator was Shion Takeuchi. Is that yeah, just saying, just like, well, this sucks, and spent the last few years getting to know these characters, and I'm heartbroken. And I would say, just like, I am bummed as well. I wish that show would have gotten another run, because it's like, oh, like Seinfeld. What was it? It took a few seasons for people to really watch Seinfeld, but they gave it the opportunity to grow, and then it became like one of the biggest sitcoms in the world. But in this digital age of just immediate entertainment and immediate consumption, it's like you gotta have them numbers for the big wigs, for the robes, to sign off on, you know, the next round of things. Which made me think, well, what other things, which I mentioned this before, have a pretty healthy cross section, Venn diagram overlap of nerds that like to watch this program, this online program here. What are some other examples of things that, like, other bits of media that just, oh, your heart got broken because there was it was like a one and done, or just like, oh, we only got so far in the run of a show. And it could be a show, it could be a book, it could be a video game, it could be movies. What was something that was like, oh my gosh, this is so good, and then for some reason the next iteration didn't get made? We're gonna go through our heartache and heartbreak in the comments. Heartache and heartbreak. I know that some people, they'll talk about okay, I'm gonna probably make some people upset because I'm not gonna know the name of the thing. Well, no, never mind. Half-Life. I was about to say, just like, yeah, the crowbar one. What's the video game with the crowbars, where you going around and smacking bugs with crowbars? That's like one that is referenced a lot. Now, I've played a couple, like a little bit of those games, and I thought, like, yeah, they're pretty good, but for like, they just had this huge cult following, where it was like, oh, wasn't there like Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2, and then they just, you know, there was supposed to be a third one, but it never got made, and like, it really bothered people. And it wasn't like the same like game company made, like, was it the Left 4 Dead or something series, that there was like 1 or 2 and the next ones didn't get made? And then people started like seeing a pattern, and it's like, you guys just make like, you guys like start series where you make 2 bangers and then you just leave people hanging on the 3rd installment. Hi baby. So for Jan, that doesn't count. Jan, don't put that in the logs. Jan has like a ledger. She's got an old-timey ledger with a feather quill pen. Actually, no, it's a knitting needle that has a feather taped to it that she just dips in ink. That's what she uses as a pen to write, to keep up with the cast account. What are they looking at? But there's a couple of movies, and I've talked about these movies before, but there's a couple of movies that like really bummed me out that I really liked the first iteration of them, and there was supposed to be like sequels, or there possibly was going to be, and it just never panned out because like initial viewership just didn't support the studio heads saying just like, yeah, let's keep on doing this. But Judge Dredd, the Carl Urban one, not the Sylvester Stallone one, but the Carl Urban Judge Dredd from 2012 is still to this day one of my favorite movies of all time. I love it. It's such a good action movie, sci-fi flick. And there could have been like a series, and I think that they were gearing up to make it a series, and it just didn't pan out. Not enough people went and saw it, because I think people were still just thinking about the Sylvester Stallone, like, oh no. And it was also like one of the last movies where they really were kind of like resurging the 3D thing. It was like that weird, like 3D technology started kind of coming back in like the late aughts, like 2008, 2009. But then it started to like be less of a selling point by the early 10s. If people will remember, it's like they still have 3D movies, but they don't make movies. You know, they didn't make the Pandora one, the Avatar sequel, Munchie. I don't need 3D glasses to see this. It's right here in front of me. But if you had like Avatar 2 3D, it might kind of cheapen it a little bit. It might make it just kind of cheesy. It's just implied that there's going to be a version of it available in 3D. And that really is one of the things, because that was like one of the things, Dread 3D. And it was at the time when like it just wasn't, people were starting to roll their eyes at that, and they're like, all right, we get it. So I think that there was a constellation of things. I think it was the fact that it was like still not as far removed from the Sly Stallone thing. And maybe it wasn't an IP that was as well known, or could have been. I don't know. So people thought it was a sequel to the Sly Stallone thing. No, it was a complete standalone. A complete standalone reimagining, more faithful adaptation. And it wasn't really marketed. It really wasn't. It wasn't marketed that well. There wasn't a lot of commercials, wasn't a lot of press, wasn't a lot of anything for it. And the 3D, it was a couple of things that kind of killed it, I think. Okay, there's that. The next one is something that like I wish, because they really were, I think that there actually was an initial deal for this to be like a multi-movie series, but was the Guy Ritchie King Arthur. And Heidi and I both love that movie. The Guy Ritchie King Arthur was so fun. It was such a fun movie. And like really stylistically well done, and like the music and the costumes. And it was shot in a very distinct kind of Guy Ritchie style, and that very kind of like fast action, fast break, fast edit kind of, you know, cheeky. Oh, and King Arthur's a working class guy. I don't care. Like, I thought it was a great movie. It was fun. It was really, really fun. And the action was great. The effects were great. But and it was one of those things, it stinks. Because like you look at Rotten Tomatoes, and it's like, like 22% fresh. But like you actually click on the thing, and it's like, no, 22% of critics, but like 80% of people thought it, 20% of critics, but 80% of the people thought it was good. But then it'll still look like a splatted tomato. Don't you hate that? To dig a little bit deeper. The cinematography didn't quite move me in the way that was intended. The depth of the feeling. And really, the symbolism. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't just reflexively dislike art house experiences. There's a lot of times art house experiences, well, you know, in cinematic form, great, fantastic, indifferent, bold, oh, really cool. And then sometimes it just feels self-indulgent. I don't know. I digress. What are some other things though? There's gotta be like some people that like, oh my gosh, there was a video game series and they were doing so good, and then all of a sudden like there was supposed to be a sequel in the works, but then, you know, the company folded and we never got the next thing, and it just, yeah, languished in development hell. Or like a network cancels a show that you loved. Maybe, and the worst ones, and you hear about this, and where like a show ends on just like a crazy cliffhanger, and then they don't renew the next season, and you're like, what? But what happened? Oh no. Or let's say like, what are certain things that are kind of like currently like you're hoping that they do make sequels? It's like they're still things you don't know whether it's gonna happen or not, but you're just hoping that there's gonna be like another thing. Hi. Yeah. What a good boy. Like the Red Dead series. So Rockstar's video game, the Red Dead series, like Red Dead Redemption 2, it's probably still favorite game of all time. Like I recently started even playing it again in between, because like I've been playing like Fortnite and Elden Ring still, and it's like those are masterful games, they're amazing games. But then it's like I'll go back to Red Dead, and I don't replay games really a lot. Once I play games, I'm kind of done with them. Every once in a while, I'll be like, yeah, that was kind of a fun experience. Let's go back and revisit that. But I know that's a big thing. Like, there's some people who like they really love to do multiple replays of popular games, that's cool. Or they'll reread books. But I don't know. Like I'll read a book and then it's like I'm done. I either toss it out or give it away. You know, so that's what I'm trying to do that more. And like I actually have been recently, I've had old video games. Like I had an old PS3, and I'm like, I'm never gonna play any of this stuff again. So I get like one of my I went to the like a work chat. And I'm like, who wants PS3 plus all these games? And then there was like, I will take that. So I gave it away. I'm like, I'm not gonna use that. Let someone else have experiences. Let someone else have memories. Hey, you're gonna eat leftovers? Ew. No. I know, gross, right? Actually, no. Like, I'm the worst person to talk to with comments. I love leftovers. I will eat all of my leftovers and all of your leftovers. I will eat everyone's leftovers, even the ones that people. Because that's the thing. I live in a house that is notoriously bad about like people eating leftovers. Like a lot of times leftovers will get made and then no one consumes them, and then they just get thrown out, and I see that all the time, and it just kind of drives. I'm just like, oh, but this is good food. So like I'll actually go through, I'll start eating, and every once in a while it backfires. Every once in a while it's kind of like that cartoon where, you know, they light up the stogie, and then it blows up in their face, and there's a blown up cigar, and they got burn marks and ash. It's one of those kind of deals. Most of the time, I'd say like 97% of the time, I can eat leftovers. No one's gonna bat an eye. No one's even gonna notice. And then there's that 3% of the time, like, hey, did you eat that pizza? That literally just happened, like last week, where I ate someone's pizza, and they came back and were like, did you eat that pizza? And I'm like, well, yeah. It was my pizza. I bought him more pizza. I went and got him another pizza. I'm like, here's makeup pizza for all the pizza that I ate. That was yours. I'm sorry. But anyway, back to that. Yeah, Red Dead. I hope, and it doesn't have to be something that follows the Vanderlinde gang. It doesn't need to be a Vanderlinde Red Dead. It can be something different, even though I do still think a story involving one of the Calendar brothers, maybe Mac Calendar, Dave Calendar, would be fun, because that's a character from the Vanderlinde gang that we haven't met before, and you could still have it go back, and then the game closes out like on the Blackwater Massacre. That'd be great. But it could just be something that's set within like that Red Dead universe. Because really, like what I do, like I'll just ride around as Arthur, just talking to people and fishing and getting in gunfights and playing poker. It's a Wild West simulator, really, is what Red Dead is. And it's so well made, and it's just such a nice experience. It's like weirdly, like, it's peaceful. It's like straight, you just ride around in your horse, and there's nature, and there's mountains, and there's like so many different little kind of nooks and crannies and things to explore. And I would like for I hope that Rockstar builds another version of that, something else in the Red Dead universe. I hope that this isn't like the last that we ever see of it, and I think that we will. I think that there's got to be that thing. I mean, you're talking about, they cranked out. They took like 10 years to make a game, but then when they released it, it literally made like $1 billion. So it'd be kind of stupid. It's like that and Grand Theft. It's like those are the two ones where it's just like, yep, that's we either make car stealing games or cowboy shoot 'em up games. That's kind of our thing now. And I'd be like, that's cool. If you could just do that for like the next 40 years, that's fine. Just get us to the point where we can make like a VR, like you put a diode next to your temple, and then it's like, oh, it's actual Westworld. That's cool. But what are some of your personal heartache? What are some of like your unfinished gems? The bits of content and media and art that they didn't get complete. They weren't able to tell the roundabout story or do the roundabout experience. Go into the comment section below. Please let us know. Sounds like someone is peeing. Are you just laying there and peeing? Are you just laying and peeing? He is. He's just laying there and peeing. Laying and peeing. Capture. Hello, all you big cat lovers out there. It's me, Derek, again. Welcome to another super duper fantastic episode of the Walk Around the Compound webcast. I don't think I did the intro. Oops. Thank you for watching this episode of the Walk Around the webcast. Hashtag Dorbus Award in the comment section below. Like and subscribe for all of your big cat goodness. And if you want to learn more about the facility around me, you can always visit the website carerescuetexas.com. for more information. You keep them tigers fed. Big shout out to the extra fancy patrons. I see you. You are so fancy. And thank you so much for your continued support. And we'll talk to you next time. All right. Bye-bye.
Monkey's buttered toast. Munchie saw a ghost. Mika weighs the most.